Welcome everybody back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. So I am back here today with Jake, and we're going to be talking about the Vikings offense against the 49ers defense. So I do want to go over a couple injuries for the Niners. The most notable one on the defensive side of the ball is Mo Hurst. Also, Dre Greenlaw. I don't know if he's coming back this week, but he is finally off of IR. So if it's not this week, it's next week. So he might be coming back soon. But defensively for the 49ers, I don't really think it's going to be the front seven that's the issue. Those guys both belong there. But I do kind of wonder if potentially, this secondary gets torched in this one. You're looking at Justin Jefferson, and he has a chance to really expose Josh Norman. Emmanuel Mosley I'm a little more comfortable with, but the Justin Jefferson matchup against Josh Norman is absolutely terrifying for me. In terms of Adam Thielen, I think that the 49ers match up a little bit better on him just because I do expect K'Wan Williams to kind of be in that matchup a little bit more. But Jake, where do you see the Vikings' strengths in this one offensively?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say game's riding on Kirk. Kirk the past 2 weeks has been able to hit his guy. He found Jefferson, I think, has a total of 17 receptions over the past 2 weeks, and they've both been wins. The 2 weeks before that, I think he combined for maybe 3, 4, 5 receptions in the 2 game before that. Guess what? They were both losses. So the key to this game is going to be Kirk being able to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. And with that being said, he, over the past few weeks, has been taking shots, taking chances, checking down less, getting the ball down the field, and that's going to be very important for this game. Like you said, Matt, the Niners front seven is going to be pretty solid, and so I'm seeing a game where Dalvin Cook maybe, he does his normal stuff. He'll get 50, 60, 70 yards like he always does, but I don't see a big game for him. I just think he'll get shut down because, like we said in the last video, that's kind of what Kyle does. He likes to control the line, control the run game. Make people in a different way, and so that has to be on Kirk. Then he can't give up the ball. He can't check down. He's got to go for first downs and make those big plays that keep the Vikings in. And kind of go off that, Jefferson's got to be the guy. Like, he is showing time and again that he is, if not now, he's going to be one of the best receivers in this league. And he's got to keep playing like he does. And even if the Niners come out to stop him, it's going to leave guys like Thielen, leave guys like KJ Osborne open, and Kirk's got to really capitalize on that. Something we're realizing right now is Kirk's finally having an MVP caliber season. He has something along the lines of 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, which is really good. And he's got to keep up that level if he wants to have a chance this week against the Niners.
Yeah, so on my end, Jake, you were cutting out a bit. I could understand most of it. If anyone's listening and they couldn't really understand that, I apologize. But I don't know. I think that might just be my internet as well. But I know that, you're talking about Kirk being the guy, and he's going to have to hit some of these other guys when they are open. We saw in a couple games this year, KJ Osborne has absolutely flourished. He had that overtime touchdown. We've seen a lot of production out of Conklin at tight end in a few games, and we've seen like that third guy have big games occasionally. The run game, I think it is pretty consistent. I don't think it's going to like blow up, because that's the one thing with the Vikings is, Dalvin will go off and have like a 200-yard game. I don't think that's what's going to go down this week. However, there's a chance that Jefferson could go out there and have a 3-touchdown performance, and that's what scares me. Now, luckily for the 49ers, their defensive line against the offensive line, I think that's a pretty solid matchup there. So I do think you're looking at a Vikings offensive line, and I know that isn't the combination of Mason Cole and Garrett Bradbury the worst 2 centers in the league, I believe, according to PFF. So take it as you want to, but apparently they've struggled a ton. I don't know what your thoughts are on them. You have Darisaw, who's a rookie starting at left tackle, and the only guy that's really I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but the only guy that I'm seeing on this offensive line that's really flourished lately is Brian O'Neill. Is that accurate?
Definitely. So, like you said, Mason Cole, Garrett Bradbury, that's a work in progress. That's gonna be an effort for the rest of the year. I don't think they're ever gonna get that figured out. Um, Going off of that, the tackles, Christian Darrisaw has been very solid when he has been given a chance to play. Zimmer is famously holding back the rookies their first year, and Darrisaw is another example of that. He only got to start after a few weeks. Has been really dominant when he has, but like we said, he's a rookie, so there are going to be those mistakes, especially when you're going up against a guy like Bosa, who can absolutely dominate a game. And so that's what I'm worried about, is just those guys that are not quite used to their roles yet getting dominated by guys like Bosa, who are really just masters of what they do. On the other hand, we did say, O'Neal is very solid. He is the one bright spot on our offensive line that's been there for a few years. He's gonna have to step up and play really well. And something else that you mentioned was Tyler Conklin. He's gonna have to have a good blocking game as well. Like, I remember you talking about in this video about Kittle blocking. We're gonna have to have similar production like that from Tyler Conklin. And I think it's a very similar situation where I don't think the really good linebacker play of all the linebackers really, but Fred Warner is just really solid, and I think he'll take Conklin out of the game. But yeah, if the Vikings have any chance to win, you got to keep Kirk, keep him clean, keep the pocket open, give him time. Because Kirk, when he's pressured, has shown time and time again that he makes mistakes, and that's how the Niners are going to beat the Vikings if they do end up get pressure like that.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a huge factor. Lately, I did mention that Mo Hurst is not going to be playing in this one. You look at this defensive line, we've got to see that Eric Armstead has begun kicking inside a little bit more. So the Eric Armstead bull rush on third down has been very, very effective throughout his career. I love him on third down as a pass rusher inside. If they continue to do that, I think that's great. We've also seen that Arden Key has also been moved inside on pass rushing downs and has had success there. So you have him. D Ford's back, potentially playing on Sunday. If he goes, there's another guy that you can have put on the outside. And while O'Neal is a really solid tackle, I do think a guy like D Ford, he only plays like 15 snaps a game if he's even healthy. And it's just pure speed off the edge. So he can still beat a guy like that. He can beat anyone just because of how fast he is. So maybe we'll see him get a few pressures in there as well. And you look at the defensive line, you go, okay, well, on third down, they have a pretty solid unit. I think in base down, if you have Armstead inside, it just is a little bit susceptible on the outside because you have Samson Ebukam playing a pretty big role, and he has been doing better lately. So maybe that's a matchup you like as well. But interior, Contavious Street, he's had some great games. He's had some games that I thought he could have played a lot better in. DJ Jones is pretty solid, but it's nothing spectacular inside. Luckily, we just talked about the Vikings interior offensive line. Nothing that's going to blow you away, so they can still potentially win some matchups there. So I think that's really where this game on that side of the ball is going to come down to, is can the 49ers defensive line play so well to kind of just help that secondary out enough? And luckily, Jimmy Ward is going to be playing today. He played last week. When he's been there, their secondary has played so much better because he's just kind of that guy that doesn't prevent anything deep down the field. And he's just, and he calls a great game from the defensive backfield as well. So I think having him back there is huge for this one, because maybe that helps. Maybe he just goes out there and makes a couple pass breakups against Jefferson on some deep balls. And that could be the difference. That really could, just because of how this game turns out. It could be super high scoring. And every offensive possession, these teams are going to be trying to get touchdowns. Not like teams aren't, but I think more in this game just because these other teams can come back so well. And for the Vikings, they can recognize it defensively. They are not healthy enough, and then 49ers might be able to exploit them a lot. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode, though. Jake, I want to thank you again for coming on. It was super fun talking about this one. We'll see how it turns out. I do think it's going to be pretty close, but thank you again for coming again. So we will talk to you guys soon, and hopefully the Niners win. Sorry, Jake.